soul, longing after you. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you. My strength, my shield, to you alone is my spirit yield. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship.
Dear Lord, as we come before you this morning, gathered in this fashion, we give you thanks, Lord, for waking us up this morning. We give you thanks for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us, Lord. We pray, Lord, that you may continue to guide and protect. We pray that you may guide and direct the affairs today. And we pray, Lord, that all we may learn and discuss, that we may remember that in all we do it to your honor and to your glory. And so, Lord, we ask a special blessing on each and every person here. We remember, Lord, the presenter for today. We ask that you may continue to empower him and strengthen him, Lord. And so we give you thanks and praise in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Welcome everyone to our social media in the church, Mandeville region. It's good to see you. Good to have Mandeville region out. Social media is an aspect that the diocese has taken on. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, if you didn't know. Diocese of JACI. And we also have a website which is a work in progress, but hopefully we're getting there with input from everyone. Social media has a life of its own, and so the church has seen it fit to have guidelines. We have a code of conduct book. If you're not aware of it, it's going to be given out soon. I think most clergy have code of conduct.
Yes.
Clergy has it, and I think they're working on it to get it to laity as well. And in our code of conduct book, we have a section on internet and social media. It's in your handout, but I'll just go through quickly a few aspects of it. Oh, and let me apologize to Bishop Thompson. He wasn't able to be here. He would have done that aspect of it and be able to answer your questions if you have any. Alright, so you can turn to it as I go through. I'm not reading word for word. So the Diocese of Jamaica recognizes that with the increasing prevalence of the internet, clergy, church workers, employees, and church volunteers will use the internet to conduct ministry, educate, and to communicate. Social media in particular provides various ways for individuals to interact and has changed the way we communicate and share information. Those using social media must be aware, however, that certain comments and information can misrepresent the positions, activities of the Diocese of Jamaica. Clergy, church workers, employees, and volunteers of the diocese are therefore required to interact safely and responsibly online and adhere to the following policy regarding social media for evangelization, education, and personal use. Social media, the Diocese of Jamaica and its affiliates. The diocese supports the use of social media tools. However, it may not be used for 1. Conducting outside business, defaming the character of any individual or institution, misrepresenting the position or activities of the diocese, or divulging any personal information, particularly about minors. Clergy persons, church workers, or diocesan employees who approve of the creation of websites are responsible for the regular monitoring of such websites. Anything published on a personal website is effectively available to the public, which you already know. Any information that misrepresents the position and activities of the church is prohibited. Personal sites used for diocesan work are subject to monitoring by the diocese. Clergy, church workers, employees, and volunteers who are identifiable as affiliated with the diocese are required to put the following notice, and it's in quotes below. The opinions expressed here are those of your name alone. This site operates independently and is not associated with the Diocese of Jamaica or the parish or the school. If you make any comments on any aspect of the diocesan work, you must also include a disclaimer that the views are your own. The lines between a person's public and private life or the personal and professional life of a person are often blurred. Therefore, ensure that content associated with your name on the internet is consistent with your work and the Christian values of love, tolerance, and forgiveness. Protection of minors, and this is here where Bishop Gregory is very adamant about, and I want you to read through this fully. I'm just going to give you the first line. Clergy persons, church workers, employees, and volunteers are prohibited from posting or distributing on the internet or any social media personal identifiable information including photos of any minor without verifiable consent of a parent or guardian. Confidential and proprietary information. Clergy persons, church workers, employees, and volunteers within the diocese are prohibited from disclosing information that is understood to be private, privileged, or confidential, and are also required not to disclose the discussions or details of matters at meetings of the Diocesan Council, Financial Board, or the Diocesan Synod. Trademarks and logos. The use of trademarks and logos that are protected intellectual property of the diocese and its affiliates is prohibited. If any person wishes to make use of the trademarks or the copyrighted material, the permission of the diocesan bishop or the diocesan affiliates or the person to whom the copyright vests must be obtained. There must be strict adherence to the laws of copyright. If in doubt, the advice of the diocesan secretary must be sought. Everybody knows who the new diocesan secretary is? No. Mrs. Jacqueline Knighty. You can make a note of that. Inappropriate material. And then, let me just put this out. Where use of the diocesan crest for your flyers and brochures, there will be a standardized way of using the crest and the wording in the near future when everything is finalized with the communications board. And that will be sent out so that you use that whenever you're doing your flyers, you use that, and that will be a standard format. It is prohibited to post immoral and otherwise inappropriate materials via social media. Inappropriate materials include, but is not limited to, obscene, harassing, offensive, derogatory, defamatory, or sexually explicit comments, links or images, or video. General guidelines for the use of technology and social media. I'm just going to go through a little bit. We have 12 points here, and I would ask you to also share it with your congregation when you go back. Clergy and church workers' social media accounts are always presumed to be ministry accounts and thus open and transparent. Personal social media accounts may not be used for ministry communication with minors. Ministry that communicates with minors by social media should establish a dedicated account that is used exclusively for ministerial purposes and that may be accessed, monitored, and used by more than one unrelated adult volunteer. Use of social media communication for one-on-one contact with minors is not permitted. In the rare event that these activities occur, the communication must be kept on file or archived in an easily accessible format. The tagging of a minor in a picture or video is prohibited. Be aware that posted words, comments, images, and videos can be easily misrepresented. Enforcement. Failure to comply with any of the provisions of these internet and social media standards of conduct will be grounds for disciplinary action, including termination of employment. This is for church workers and clergy. Further advancements in technology may require updates and addendums to this section of the code. The Diocese of Jamaica and its affiliates reserves the right to make changes to this code of conduct at any time at its sole discretion to facilitate these advancements. The universal principles provided for above are to be applied prudently and judiciously in the event an update has not occurred. Any questions that I may be able to answer? Any questions at this time? Alright. You can probably save them for later. Alright, so move on. We have a full day ahead of us. So we're going to ask Mr. Hamilton, Mr. O'Dane Hamilton, to join us. And he is our facilitator presenter this morning.
Morning, everyone. Morning. Guys, let me know after us twice. That's good. Now, thanks to the Diocese for giving me this opportunity. Thanks to Clayville for reading out the registration list to ensure I have all young persons here. So my presentation will be much easier. But for persons who don't know who I am O'Dane Hamilton. I go around the diocese fairly often. So some persons might know me. I am an IT professional. I currently work with the government through EGOV. I'm based in Maypen. I work between Santa Cruz and Kingston. I am a member of St. Gabriel's Church in Maypen, but I worship at any church in the diocese. All the churches are the same. I was on the National Council Exec for around 3 years. I've been involved in youth work in the diocese for like what, 7 years. Former president, former vice president. So I've been involved with young persons for a while. And mixing with technology, I've been involved with young people and technology. But enough about me. Anything else we will know as we progress. But for today, we're focusing on social media. And even more specific, social media in the church. But to put things into perspective, we have to understand that from a mass media perspective, things have progressed over time. We didn't just end up at social media. Social media is 21st century. 20 years ago, we did not have social media. So we had traditional media, which is basically any form of mass communication available before the advent of digital media. So things including television, radio, newspapers, books, magazines, all of those would be considered as traditional media. But segueing from traditional media, we move into what we call digital or new media. Now, of course, that would be anything after traditional media. So it's communication using digital technologies such as the internet. Now there are certain examples of digital and new media. And I know everybody here knows about digital and new media because we are here and we know what's happening in the world. And by the way, just a disclaimer, this presentation will be very interactive. I won't be doing all of the talking. So let's start with some examples of digital and new media.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a question, yes.
What's up?
Facebook.
Facebook. Instagram. Twitter. Snapchat. Tumblr. Pinterest. LinkedIn. Websites are a form of new media. So all of those will be considered new media. And we can get even more specific with it because new media is basically mass communication through the internet. We can get specific to the point of social media, whereas social media consists of websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. So it enables the user to create and share content or to participate in social networking. So that would eliminate some of the digital and new media that we know about. Websites wouldn't be considered, well, websites that facilitate a social media platform, but websites standing by themselves wouldn't be considered social media.
Telegram?
That wouldn't be considered social media. It's just a communication platform. Well, it would still be new media, but not social media. For social media, you have to have that aspect of social networking. Creating, sharing content, and social networking. So Telegram, WhatsApp, those would be new media, but not social media. Alright, we clear on that?
Why social media?
Social media would be a platform, either a website or an application, where persons create and share content or participate in social networking. So even though yes, we type messages and send in WhatsApp and Telegram, it isn't necessarily social networking. Social networking is on a broader scale than just talking in WhatsApp groups. We clear on that?
Yes.
So that social aspect has to be there for it to be social media. And we have examples here. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, Tumblr. Anybody knows of Tumblr? Tumblr. I see the high-five persons know about Tumblr. SoundCloud, LinkedIn, SlideShare, Telegram, and a lesser end. Why I put Telegram there? Because Telegram has a feature of channels where you can follow persons through their channels. They create and put content there. Yeah. But the social interaction with them is limited.
Webinars.
Webinars,
Yeah.
not necessarily social media, but definitely new media.
New and emerging social.
New and emerging social. Because on more webinars you have interactions.
Yes.
But then the interactions are limited to the webinar.
Yes.
So you hardly have conversations going on after the webinar. You'll have a question and answer section of the webinar that you can interact with the presenters. But to ask questions thereafter, it would be some delayed conversation.
Yes. Yeah.
So webinars would definitely be a form of new media.
We can set up where the conversations can take place.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So that's why it's emerging social.
Emerging social. But then we have more. The popular platforms would be what I listed here, but it's not exhaustive because
keyword, the popular.
The popular ones. So we know that social media is different from new media, different from traditional media. So we see where we're coming from and where we're going. But why use social media? It's quick. It reaches a broader spectrum of persons. Now, social media is where the attention is. I'm almost sure everybody here has a smartphone.
Yes.
And normally during our down times, we just get on our phones, probably go on WhatsApp,
Instagram,
Twitter, YouTube. We go on something.
Yes.
If it's even 1 minute if we have half an hour, we go on it. Even though 1 minute might turn in 1 hour. But we go on it. So it's where our attention is. These days I don't watch TV anymore, I just stay with my phone. Everything I need is on that. Everything I need is on. So it's where your attention is. But not only that, social media, we are meeting people where they go. We always travel with our phones.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody left their phones this morning. Left yours? You surviving? Alright. You alright? I think they have nurses and staff. So, if you feel faintish, just let us know. But almost everybody, everywhere you go, we have our phones. After we check for the car keys, we check for the phone.
Yes.
Just to make sure we have it. And then another thing, we go a step further, we don't leave the charger. You have a smart phone, you have to charge.
No, but at the advent of smartphones, I don't know if someone knows to remember, some persons didn't actually have a smartphone, but they had a charger. There we go.
So we're meeting people where they go. So we go where they go. So they're taking social media with them. Anywhere you go with their phone. Another reason why we use social media. Now, being in IT, I will give you a good amount of statistics. They tend to be very specific, like ambiguous things, and we plan deliberately. Now, 80% of Jamaicans use social media. This was from an article done in 2015, and they only considered Facebook and Twitter. 80% of Jamaicans, which equates to 2.3 million, are on social media. Facebook and Twitter predominantly. Another reason to use social media, 84% of Jamaicans own a mobile phone. These are statistics from the last census in 2016. 40% of Jamaicans have internet access at home. This was from 2016. So we see the statistics mounting, 80% of the population being on social media, 84% of persons owning a mobile phone, 40% of persons having internet at home readily. So this is where people are. There are 116 hours each week. Our services last how long on Sunday? On average, 2 hours. We have 166 hours left. We have 166 left. So how do we now engage the persons in that 166 before they come back for the 2 hours? And that's our primary focus for today. Now, some more statistics for you. 48.26% of the social media platform use will be mobile, 44.72% will be desktop. On the lower end, we have tablets, 7.02. So these statistics coupled with the number of persons with mobile phones and the number of persons having internet readily at home, we can see that most of the social media platform takes place on mobile and desktop. Now, even some more statistics for you. Let's break down the platforms where people are on social media. Of course, Facebook still takes the lion's share. And you can blame Twitter if you can't see anything on this slide. This is 60.13. Out of all the persons that use social media, and this is as of July 2018, out of all the persons that use social media, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr, Facebook has over 60%. Followed by Pinterest. This one is a bit weird. No, I'm not on Pinterest. And I'm personally on Pinterest. So I stay away from Pinterest. YouTube has become not only a business, and yes, it has become a business. People make money from it.
Yes.
I hope I reach that stage one day. But YouTube has become what we call, I want to have a better term, MOOC, MOOC, massive open source online communication. YouTube has become a grand learning platform.
Yes, it teaches everything.
It teaches everything. When I was studying computer science, for a lot of my courses I had either 2 or 3 lecturers. The lecturer I was registered to, the additional lecturer doing the same course, and of course some Indians on YouTube. The Indians know everything about computer science. So YouTube is where you go to learn a lot of things. So we have a lot of persons using YouTube. We have people on Twitter, 4.4%, Instagram and Tumblr. Instagram having 2.27%. And this is as at July 2018. No, this is what we're moving towards. Everybody being on social media. Bishop Thompson is on social media. Right? He's on Twitter. I don't know if the assistant bishop is there yet. I think he said he uses WhatsApp.
He uses WhatsApp.
So I know in the next meeting during that time I have with him, they'll inform him that that is not social media. But we have a lot of persons, a lot of clergy being on social media. And of course there are going to be guides and guidelines, rules, responsibilities for using the social media space. But internationally, that's where persons have moved towards. Not only religious persons, but leaders overall. You'll find that all of the decisions related to the United States is sent through Trump's Twitter account.
Yes.
Persons will take that more seriously than what he says. No, you can't take any of that very seriously. As he will come 2 minutes later and tell you that's not what he meant. But social media is what we're moving towards. In knowing about social media, we have all of these statistics. We realize this is where the majority of the persons are. And just to give you some more facts, on average, persons spend 6 hours each week on social media. That's on average. We know 6 minutes gets into 6 hours in one go. But on average, persons spend 6 hours each week. And this is from 18 right up to 65. On average, 6 hours per week.
75.
75. 6 hours per week on social media. So, how do we now tap into this average 6 hours out of the 166 that's left to help shape their lives in terms of church? For that, we have to ensure we strategize. Dejan and I were talking earlier, and we plan a lot, but we find our strategies are not very specific. They're very broad strategies. But with social media, you have to be extremely specific in what we do. I tell people all the time that social media platforms aren't only used for communicating. And Facebook is not a social media or IT company. It's a marketing company. Just that we are feeding the content.
Ask a question. Our social media, the church's social media, when somebody posts something, it goes to a secure place and then it is posted onto it.
Good question. And let me try and keep some of the technical details out of it. But we don't know where it is. Plain and sweet. They say it.
No, I didn't mean that. I noticed that sometimes they post and it doesn't go on immediately onto the church's website. It's like it goes to somebody in the church bets it before it is put onto the website.
Oh, yes. That happens depending on the platform you're using for your website. For instance, if you're using a content management system and they have set it up in such a way that you can post but they have to go on and approve until it goes on.
Right.
That can happen.
That's what
But
is happening with our church website.
Because more than likely was deliberately set up that way.
So we are very careful what we put out into it.
That we control. A lot of the blogging websites, they control replies and comments that somebody has to go on and approve it before it can be seen. So even though you have made your comment or replies, you won't see it immediately. The administrators of that website will have to go on, review your comment or reply, and then approve it. That way you can control what is being said about you in cyberspace. But for social media, in the church, we have to have a plan. We have to be specific. And we focus on 5 W's predominantly. Starting with why. Why are we doing what we're doing? We want to tap into the audience. We want to tell the people something. Why do we do what we do on a Sunday? Win souls.
Yes.
Reinforce your Christian beliefs. Strengthen your faith. So, do not think what we're doing here in terms of drafting our social media plan is far removed from what happens on a Sunday. This is just augmenting our corporate workers. By the way, everybody got the Wi-Fi password.
Yes.
Feel free to be on social media. Be on Twitter, be on Instagram, let persons know what's happening. Because that's part of the plan. Right? We'll get further into that later. So, we're taking what happens on a Sunday. And we are now tapping into the 6 hours that persons spend on average out of the 166 in their busy lives. So we're augmenting our Sunday worship. And for that strategy, we have to know why we're doing what we're doing. We have to know the purpose. Once we know why we do what we do on a Sunday, we will know why we do what we do throughout the week. Fair enough? We have to know who we're targeting. On a Sunday, we can't really control who every time. Persons might walk in and you try to engage them within probably half an hour or less. But now we have more time. Now we have the option of deciding who we want to target. And we'll get into that later on some more. We have to know what we're targeting them with. This links back to the why. How we do it would be. Yes. Another what comes out. When we have the whole week to work with. We have 24 hours each day, 7 days a week. When do we do this social media plan? In terms of date and time. And we can get very specific with that as well. Where in terms of the platform that we use. Said to persons, if you're going to put up an epistle, rest assured I'm not you.
You have to write it like Telegram.
Yep. You have to write it like Telegram. So, I'm here, stop. Send money, stop. Right? You have to write it like Telegram. But make sure it makes sense. Make sure it makes sense. Telegram days, they knew how to read it. So you have to craft your message. Craft what you post based on your platform. In reading the Observer, I realized something about Observer as writers. After you read the first paragraph, you have gotten the whole message. Everything else after that is fluff. And it's just additional information to back up what they have said. So in reading the Observer, I only read the first paragraph. I've gotten the essence of the message. And you'll find that in this day and age, that's how people read. They just read the headlines and say, alright, that is it.
And the last paragraph.
No, we know which side the headlines are misleading. Listen, we know that it's misleading. So until you get into it, you won't know what the message is saying. But person's attention span these days are very short.
Yeah.
So we have to keep our message succinct and ensure it conveys exactly what we want to convey. So we have to tweak it based on various platforms that we use. Facebook facilitates text, image, videos, polls, live stream. You'll find that Facebook has a broader scope of things that you can post, and that's probably why persons use it most. You can do a whole heap of things through Facebook. Twitter, text, images, videos, and we know polls. I won't get into the polls. But we have to know what we're posting and on which platform. Tweak your what based on your where. Now, when you post, make posts when it is best likely, when it's the best likely chance that your audience is online. Early morning, late evening, that's exactly when your audience is online. If you post something at 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. If you post it at 1 a.m., some of the young persons, they it's like, no, hear this. You see it when you wake at 5. If you post something on Facebook right now, in 1 hour time, not even Facebook, Twitter.
It's not there.
It's 1 hour time you can't find it. Because if I follow 3,000 persons and you make one tweet, rest assured, after you have made that tweet, within 3 seconds, there are 20 more. And your feed has been pushed to the bottom. So we have to be strategic. These days, if somebody follows you and they favorite your page, especially on Twitter, you will get notifications to say, in case you miss this, this is what the person posted. But it doesn't always capture everything the person posted. So you have to be careful of the times when you post, because your message can get lost. Early morning, late evening, that's the best time. People use TV to unwind. Now in the dawn of social media and everything being on your phone, that is what people use to unwind. So when you're tired, we're done, series, YouTube, you are there in traffic, you just pull out your phone. Let me see what's happening on Twitter. Let me see what's happening on Instagram. Let me see how my Facebook post is doing. People do that. Right? Right?
But they should
man, you need to see how much likes they get. And then when you don't get enough likes, you wonder, what's this picture? What's happening to my followers? Where them there? Where them there? So we might retweet it and hope so them see it again. So, in our social media plan, we have to know when to post. Posts can be crafted around themes and seasons. This when now is not necessarily in terms of time, but in terms of time and year. We can create an Advent series. I see Clever did that, and I hope it will be a series for the whole year. Which altar is this?
Oh.
Yeah, man, I love that.
It is to be continued.
Good. Good. Which altar is it? So, for Advent, we know there are various Sundays. We do an Advent theme overall, and then we get specific to what happens on each Sunday. The message that we are portraying for that Sunday. Right? So, themes and seasons. We can post around that.
You know, when you did the one with the churches, people were excited.
Yes.
This is my church that is on it, so
Is the same one?
I think so.
yes, one of the churches, when you
yes.
posted the churches. This week is my church.
And I see one that sparked a discussion where Clever put up something about the, what was it, at church house? He said, where is this?
Oh, it was in the wall, in the columns?
Yes.
The second wake up. It's an epitaph? That's what engraved
yes,
into the wall?
Yes. He said, where is this? And somebody said, what is it? He said, it's somewhere else.
It's something
And
else
the
there.
other person said, no, this is at church house. And they said, no, you can't fool me. And it sparked a discussion, but persons were there conversing. And then of course Cleaver jumped in and said, yeah, nice try. It's not there. It is actually at church. So respond to your persons. Don't leave that comment hanging for 3 weeks and the person don't know if they were right or wrong. The last of our W is where. Now, where we post, remember we said earlier, there are various platforms. We can't be posting all over the place. Right? We can't be posting on YouTube just for the sake of posting on YouTube. If your followers are not on YouTube, do not spend that much energy on YouTube. If YouTube does not fall into your general scheme of things in terms of plan, don't put your head out on the block and say, I have to be on YouTube. Other pastors are on YouTube, we have to get on YouTube. You don't have to. Be specific in what you're doing. We know that persons in the church can manage Facebook, Twitter, and we find one of them young people there for Instagram. We know that's the expertise we have. We focus on those 3 platforms.
And another thing too, in terms of these platforms, as you have pointed out, I don't know if you went totally into it, but they are for specific things.
No.
And we must be mindful of that. So we can use what we have specifically to a particular social media platform.
Yes.
And not use them incorrectly. Because we may be wondering why we're not getting feedback and we're not realizing that we're not actually using them in the correct manner they should be used.
Exactly so. For instance, if in another group that I'm affiliated with, if you're not strong for Twitter, don't go on Twitter. Because Twitter is a garrison. Twitter is a garrison. And you'll find that people are very harsh on social media in general, but Twitter is more specific there. If you make one mistake on Twitter, somebody will screenshot it and it will become viral. I don't like when you're going back to the books. So make sure, and we'll get into that in terms of do's and don'ts, but use the platform for what it's intended. And ensure you know what you're doing. Twitter is a garrison. If you're back abroad, if you can't stand your ground, people will challenge you on Twitter. And then when you can't respond to the challenge on Twitter, then your image starts breaking down. The brand that you wanted to portray.
I want to also say Twitter is still a strong, good place for great discussion.
Yes.
And we want to see more of our churches and other persons coming on Twitter and having some good discussion. Let's just talk about the things that are bugging us or the things that elevate us. So we need to utilize it.
So I am going to tweet Bishop Thompson.
Yes, please.
Yes, ask him a question and see if he responds.
It would be advisable to think carefully before posting on Twitter.
Oh, of course.
Always. Any platform. Any platform.
In life in general.
Even your WhatsApp status. Even your WhatsApp status, somebody can
Even your WhatsApp status. You know, you will understand that it's not a case where...
But with WhatsApp, they can delete from everyone.
No friend. Once it has been posted...
If you post it and quick... Somebody's going to see, but not everybody will see. So if you put
anything you...
You want me to stop this?
No man, you can continue.
Okay.
Now, anything you post anywhere is stored. Anything you post anywhere is stored.
Yes.
After it is stored, it is duplicated. Just in case you deleted it and want it back, they have it here. Right? Anything you post anywhere is stored. And it's, I told somebody when I was doing the presentation, I tried not to scare my audience, but it's stored where we don't know.
Yeah.
Some things might be stored locally to your phone, yes. For instance, when you go on WhatsApp and somebody change their WhatsApp profile picture, if you then go to the picture and you realize it's downloading, that is stored locally on your phone. So sometimes when the phone running out of memory, it's all of these things downloaded, all of these statuses that we're watching, they're stored locally on your phone. Now imagine this. I posted a status and I have 500 contacts. All of them look on the status. My status now exists 500 different places.
Yes.
Yes.
Think about that.
Think about it. So we have to be careful what we're
And that is one of the reasons why Clever is always reminding us to go into the phone and to delete and to get out the garbage that we remove. She's always...
It is stored. And that's only local storage. It's stored on servers where we don't know, it's replicated, it's all over the world.
And WhatsApp backs up everything on your phone.
They're doing something now that I think Google sent out a message the other day that when you upgrade your WhatsApp, it deletes everything.
So they say,
when you
upgrade your WhatsApp,
when you upgrade your WhatsApp,
it deletes the backup on
Google no
Google.
longer.
That's not true.
Yeah.
It's in the cloud.
well, let them tell you that.
So they say.
Oh, and by the way, we hear this buzzword going around about cloud and things being stored in the cloud. It is not an actual cloud. Yes. But it is computers somewhere that are available over the internet. In essence, that's what the cloud is. And I won't get too technical in that, we're talking about social media. But it's stored, so you have to be careful what you're posting. Right? And some platforms are not forgiving. You post something, quickly somebody will screenshot it, and it starts going all over the place. And you now don't have control over it. Better yet, anything you post, you don't have control over it. Anything at all you post, you don't have control. So, from our social media plan, we dealt with, what were the 5 W's?
Why?
Who?
What?
When? And where? So we should be more in the frame of mind of how to strategize our social media posts, or feeds, or stories, or tweets. We should now have an idea before we just get up there and post. Not because we're on Twitter and it is Trinity Sunday. We just snap a picture and put it up. Does it fit into our overall plan? Run it through those 5 filters. And does it conform to the message we're trying to portray? Not because it's Trinity Sunday, not because it's Cathedral Sunday, we just post something. You have to be deliberate in what you do. Right? Fair enough? Yeah. So, now let's get into, we have planned. We know where we're coming from in terms of media. We know the type of persons we can get, we know the statistics. We know the number of persons we're targeting. And we can further break it down based on our parish census. We can even break it down into community as well. And in terms of that breakdown, we'll talk more about that later on in terms of ads and sponsored posts. We have planned based on the 5 words, so it's now into the execution phase. We have to now post something. People have to see that we're now live and direct. Right? We're in this space and we're here to convey a certain message. We have gone through and we know the message we're conveying. So now it's time to convey the message. Keep messages short and to the point. Keep it succinct. If a sermon was done, the sermon is 15 minutes. Do not post the whole sermon. Think about it. If we are there and we can't even listen for the 15 minutes, all the persons on social media that has everything else competing for their attention going to sit and read that for 15 minutes. And some persons that read will realize that in this day and age, we don't necessarily read from page to page. We see how many pages a chapter is, and we budget up the time and we say, can I finish this chapter in 1 hour? No, so I'll just read up to half an hour because this chapter extra long. So I will cut it down because I have something else to do. The same thing with our posts. Once we see some post that says see more, before we start reading, we might start reading, and if it's not interesting, or even if it's interesting, we click on the see more. If we see only more, we keep scrolling.
But you see, what happens sometimes is that in trying to perceive what there is, we lose the gist of what was said. Because like JTA had the president, when they had this whole thing, what I read in the paper didn't have much to do with what Douglas Barnes had to say. And so therefore, you lose the essence sometimes of what is being said or what was said.
No, with that, we can dance around that. We can create something for that. For instance, your church has a website.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, remember, social media is not the place to put the full sermon. We put 3 bullet points, and then we put a link at the bottom. Read more here. And that brings you back to the website, where if those 3 points resonated with them, they now go to read the full article. So we have to craft it in such a way. Don't think that social media is the only way to get the message across. We can link the various platforms. We can link it back to a website. We can link it to an article, an external article that we were talking about. We can do these things. This is the age of the internet.